Okay, guys, welcome back. So we're going to be moving on to the next part of our website. Now, I've got both of them launched here and ready to go. And so we've done this bit so far. We've still got to do some styling on our nav bar, but we will get around to that in just a moment. And the next bit we're now looking at is how to do this particular section here. So if we look at this at full screen width, we've got two defined columns here. One of them has got a carousel, which is a nice way that Bootstrap provides us to kind of just create this really simple little click through. And then the other side, I've just put some recent experience in. So this is one row, it's one section made up of two columns. And also I'm going to introduce you to making sure that you use your columns so that they are mobile first responsive. And remember, we talked about that before, I think in the last video. But the idea is that providing that I have done this properly, then as my website moves and changes size, so let's grab both of them at the same time. I never quite managed to get it for some reason. Whatever, let's grab this one. There we go. Then this is now set so that it will drop and so that these will take up the full width when it gets below a certain screen size. And it just means that you don't end up with things kind of losing their dimensions. So as we have it so far, everything's nicely aligned as it drops and gets smaller and smaller. So I'm going to leave this kind of here in the side because the first thing I want to do now is I want to head over to Bootstrap and I want to get a carousel. So I'm just going to put a little comment in here saying, start of project showcase and experience. I'm going to head over here. This, by the way, is just a really cute little add-on, which I love. I don't know, I've just got a cat thing and I've got a couple of my own. And it just makes me chuckle. In case you're wondering why there's just these random cats. Some Meepy Dumbledore. I guess this is some Harry Potter play on words. So cool, what we're looking for, Bootstrap. So we're going to come over here. We're going to go to documentation. And then we're going to go straight to our components and we're going to go down and we're going to look for carousel. So there's loads of different styles of carousels. You can really have however you like them. This one's kind of similar. The one I've actually used is this one, and then I've just changed it so that the labels sit underneath. Only because the images I was using were all very light, but not quite light enough that dark text worked, and then not dark enough that light text looked good on top. So you kind of need to make a decision about which one works best for the effect you're trying to achieve. So I'm going to copy that, and then before I put it in here, I'm going to start off by creating my container. Now, remember I mentioned it was a row, and then inside my row, I had two columns. So as I said, we're going to introduce you to this idea of using different column widths. So when this page is kind of up to a small breakpoint or above, I will get it to span the whole width of it. And then when it gets to a medium-sized screen or above, I want it to just take up half of the space available. So I'm going to say 6. And I want that to be the same for both of them. So I'm going to copy this, I'm going to put it underneath. And in here is where my carousel is going to go. And in here is where my experience is going to go. So I'm going to copy and paste this. Nope, don't want that. I need to go back and copy my code again because obviously I've already changed what's on my clipboard. And I'm going to put my carousel in here. Now this can look a little bit intimidating at first, but I'm going to talk you through it all and we'll get to the point where you know how to amend this and make it work for what you want to achieve. So if I have a little look right now, this is my kind of fake one. You can sort of see something moving along in the bottom, or the one fake one, the one we're building right now, but there's no images in there yet, and that's why you can't really see it. So I'm going to start by, we need to give this carousel like a name. And so I'm going to call this one Projects Showcase because that's what it's doing. A project show would be fun. So where I just changed that, it did say carousel example captions beforehand. And so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to hold in my Alt key. I'm going to right click or double click anywhere that I see this carousel example captions. And then I'm going to paste in the name I just gave it. Key thing that you definitely need to make sure you do straight away. And this is just going to make sure the whole thing stays linked up. Other than that, I'm not going to change anything on the very top bit right now. What I do need to do is I need to reorder the code a little bit so that I get this label underneath it, whereas at the moment it's all part of it. So you need to be really careful with doing stuff like this because it can be very easy to mess something up. So What I'm going to start by doing is I'm just going to align these a little bit better. And I am going to double check the code where I did this before, because in an earlier try of trying to record this, I don't know what I did, but I must have accidentally deleted a div tag or something, and it all went a little bit haywire. And which is why I'm saying take it really slow and make sure that you actually have sort of thought through everything that you're doing. So I'm going to be taking this class off, and I don't want these particular classes, this carousel caption class, because that has some impact on the way that it sits inside of the carousel. I just want it to sit underneath. And so I'm going to apply my own class, which is going to be called Cap1, and I'm going to add some style into that in just a moment. And then I'm going to change these to be slightly smaller. So I'm going to make these H3. But the rest of this is now going to stay the same. Okay, so I've got this these div tags, and I've got this kind of this section here. So cool. So what I'm going to do now is, now that I know that this one is how I want it, obviously has still got to move the label down, so don't worry about that too much right now. But what you can see is it's no longer overlapping the text, it's sitting underneath. So we're going to come back to that because what I actually just need to do is turn off this kind of little bar, which if we have a look on the carousels, this is this bit here, which you can also click. It also works as a button, but I'm going to turn mine off. And I just wanted to do this because it's easy if you want to use it in the format it is, but it's a little bit trickier when you decide you want to change Bootstrap things to make them a bit more personalized. That's when it can get a little bit confusing, which is why I decided to make some changes. So now that I know this one's perfect, I'm going to copy this code. I'm going to get rid of the item from here and the item from here, making sure I don't accidentally delete any additional div tags. And I'm just going to paste this underneath. But as I do this, I'm just going to move this all back a little bit. I'm going to try and keep, oh no, I did go the right way. It was there. I want to keep this all in line with how it is above. Otherwise it starts to get really difficult to see. And so just take your time, make sure that you put everything in properly. As you can see, it's making me manually do this. Okay. Cool. And so this div tag closes off here, and this div tag closes off here. So we kind of, if anything, we could actually put a little space, and this allows us to see the 3 carousel items. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some different pictures in. So I obviously have a couple of these saved in my images folder. So I think the next one is going to be Pokemon, and then I'm going to swap one, and I think it's Algo app. It's just an app I built for some students so that they could test their own algorithms. It's not the prettiest looking thing, but it was very effective. So cool. So right now this has stopped working. So I need to discover what I've done or why this has stopped working. Because that's a shame. I'm not entirely sure. Let's see. Let's see what I've done. So let's check that I haven't changed anything that I shouldn't have changed. Okay, so the reason it's not working is because I didn't take out these little hash symbols here. And so it doesn't sort of recognize that that is the same as this one up here, which didn't have a hash symbol in. So I should be able to. Oh, it's saying it cannot get it. So what else have I done? What have I done in the effort of changing that? It looks like I may have done something different again. No, maybe I did need them to be in there. However, oh yeah, of course, because they're hrefs. Oh, what a moment. I'm having a moment. Okay. Oh, this is just, oh, it's not liking that. Let's go live with this again. Let's just turn this off and go live, and let's just see what's happened. Okay. That's really interesting. So the whole thing has stopped working. I'm just gonna work out, I guess, what's happened. Just give me a second. Okay, so just after having a little look around, I realised kind of an essential thing. And actually, I'm glad that things like this happen because it means I can show you what went wrong. So where I copied and pasted all of it, it had this class set to active. And that means that right now it thinks all of my images are active at the same time, which of course they're not. So I need to take this out of 2 of those so that it will start working again. So, annoying little thing, but actually really good. It happens because you'll come across the exact same problems and you'll go, what did I do? And so, yeah, hopefully now you can see that they're the kind of things that I normally check for. And the way that I checked that it wasn't a different problem was I actually copied the carousel code back in just as it was. I could see that that was working. And then I thought, well, okay, well, what's different? What have I missed? And then when I compared it, I was like, oh, I've got 3 with active and they've only got 1 with active. So it's just a little point to kind of consider. Now, I also want to change this code up here to be cap1 and text center, which is just going to centralize my label text at the bottom. And the only other thing that I want to do now is I want to give this whole section an ID so that I can apply some styling. So at the container level, I'm going to give it an ID of showcase. And then I'm also going to, for this row, I'm going to justify content between so that when I do come back, justify and add the next section in a minute, it's going to do what I want it to do. So that's that bit done. And now what we need to do is actually add some styling to get this carousel looking exactly as we want it to do. So we know that the main thing that we need is showcase and project show. They're the 2 bits of information that we're going to need. So just for a moment, I'm going to make this a little bit smaller again so that I can split my screen. And it's just really handy for just checking that I've got these bits right. So this skills bit, we're going to start another section, and this one's going to be our project showcase section so that we know that all of our styling belonging to that is going to be living inside of here. So where to begin? We've got quite a few little things that we need to do. So we're going to start with changing the where those particular items are. So for the carousel, so we're going to start with the carousel caption, but we actually turned that off, I think. So we're going to kind of just say for cap 1, which was the class that we gave, if you remember where the headings actually were, I'm going to say where heading 3 is. I'm going to change the color of this and I'm going to make it that royal blue. And then for cap 1, and then the P tag, which is what's holding our little piece of information, I'm going to change the color of that font to this orange red. Okay, so that deals with those 2 things. I'm also going to turn these indicators off, and the way that you access them is it's the carousel indicators. Oh, let's spell that right. Indicators, and it's the list item. Okay, so it's basically this bit here. So this thing here comes from the carousel indicators, and then it's the list item we actually want to turn off. And just to get those to hide, I'm just going to set the display on them to none. And that's just basically so now you can see they're not there anymore. They are there, they're just not displayed, and so they don't kind of get in the way of what we're trying to do. Okay, so let's see, what else do I want to do? For some reason I've frozen my indicators, but I'm going to come back and fix that in just a second. And I'll see exactly what I've managed to do now. Cool. So what else do I need to do? I need to do something with the actual image. So I'm going to give the name of my carousel, which is going to be project show, and I'm going to say that the images, so those 3 images we've got. So the width is going to be 100% of the container. So that's 100% of the 6 column width, if you like. And I set my height to 400 pixels. It's not too high, but just kind of, gives it a little bit space around it. Now for the padding, I'm going to set the top and bottom to the padding of 30 and then the sides a padding of nothing. So it just adds a little bit of padding around it. Okay, so we can see it's starting to come together. Still need to work out what on earth I've done in the last 2 seconds to stop this working. I'm just going to see if I turn this off again, if that's something that I've done. No. Okay. Well, I mean, the good thing is it means it's something on the other page. So I might have clicked something accidentally, and I'll get that working in just a second. But we can see that that bit's now working. And then I might just kind of move the label down, like move the whole section just down a little bit, nothing too much. So I'm just going to say that the class cap 1, so everything inside of there, I'm going to give it a margin on top of, I feel like 15 pixels is enough. So it's just, there we go. It's just added a little bit of space with that label. So now to see, what have I done? to stop this thing working. So I'm just gonna find out, and then I will explain it in just a sec. Okay, so I changed the div class and I just changed in the wrong place, and I'm not entirely sure why I did that. So, oh no, I don't want to undo all of that stuff. So so this was justify content between. So if you can see here, guys, I have actually just deleted that whole thing for absolutely no reason. I must have just thought I hadn't changed it. And we're going to say carousel item. Cool. So this should be working now. There we go. And actually we've got this whole thing. Now the only thing it's not doing right now is it's not so project show. I'm just going to copy this and make sure that this is the right thing that I've used, because the images are not doing. Oh, okay, so difference here, and actually this is a good thing to show you guys. This is project show with a lowercase s, and over here is projects show with an uppercase, and therefore they do not recognize that they're the same thing. So now there we go, all the same width, all the same height, and we've turned that little bit at the bottom off. Now you could also say that maybe let's make the P font just a touch bigger. So I'm going to say the text font size, sorry. I'm just going to make it like, let's try 1 rem and see. So that's obviously the size it should be. So we'll do 1.2. No, it's a touch too big. I'm really fussy, by the way, with font sizes. It takes me 8. There we go. I have to get them exactly as I like them. But there we go. That looks nice. I'm happy with that. All right then. So I'm going to pause this video for now, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to do the next section in just a moment.